Hey, what's up, everyone? You're currently tuned into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 in Santa Barbara. This week, Lietoc and I are joined by the Austrian guitar and electronic music maverick, Christian Fennesz. Christian has had an illustrious history as a musical journeyman at the intersection of the guitar and laptop electronics, with numerous collaborations from Ryuichi Sakamoto to Sparklehorse, as well as releases across Editions Mego and Touch. His latest Mosaic arrived last December for Touch. How's it going, Christian?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
I know I know you're saying it's just a lazy Sunday for you today. I mean, like, what does a normal Sunday look like for you?
Well, a normal Sunday would be studio work, I guess. But today was
Yeah.
really easygoing, very quiet. I'm enjoying that.
Are you a coffee drinker, like a tea drinker? Like, what's your like when you get up on a Sunday, what's the first thing you're doing?
Well, first I have a tea,
Ooh. Yeah.
and later I have an espresso, double espresso. That's my morning ritual.
Oh,
Nice.
what
So
are you going for there?
Sorry?
What kind of tea are you going for?
I just have like English breakfast tea, like Darjeeling, I think it is. And then I need a coffee. Then I start
yeah,
work.
and then
But
you
I
start work.
have Italian coffee here, so really, it's a ritual every morning.
That's awesome. I got my espresso over here as well. That's also part of my routine. But
Alcohol-free beer now because it's late.
Oh, we
sick.
we may have to open up a beer then in on when bring something.
Christian, what are you up to like outside of like music and stuff? Like, do you have any like hobbies outside of music or like anything that you do?
Well, well, the last year was really busy, so I was really focusing on music mostly, and
Hmm.
otherwise, I mean, I'm just trying to, do some things in Vienna every once in a while. There's a lot of cultural life going on here. There's a lot of museums, and
Yeah, that's sick.
yeah, so we're doing this sometimes. And I like to walk around the city, in the inner city. It's very beautiful. Vienna is such an historical, interesting city. I still have to explore much more. I live here for almost all my life, and I still find new things here. So this
Are
is
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
are you a public transportation user out there in Vienna? Do you find yourself kind of mapping out bus or metro routes?
Yeah, there's a very good public transportation system here, but I really try to walk. I love walking for hours. I love that.
It's cool that you are able to just walk that much. I feel like for us at least, like our cities are not as walkable, I guess.
I
Um,
know. America is so different in that
yeah.
respect. But here it's really great. Everything's actually walkable. I mean, if you're willing to walk for an hour, you can go anywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you ever find yourself, are you got your headphones on, taking in different sounds, or are you kind of trying just to pay attention to like bird sounds or street ambience?
Oh, I pay attention to what's around. I'm not wearing headphones when I walk. No, I want to absorb the acoustics of the city. I like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the acoustics have kind of shifted over your lifetime that you've been there?
Yes, certainly. Yes. I mean, if you ask me now in what way, I couldn't even give you a good answer, I guess, but it's just like a constant change. It feels. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, for instance, now that there are more electronic cars, the car noises are different, not as loud as they used to be.
Yeah.
A nice thing.
Yeah. I guess I haven't thought about that too much. I guess traffic would be a little quieter nowadays, right?
There are places, for example, in Tokyo, I think every car is like electronic. It's an electronic car, and you can't hear them, so you just see them
You just see them fly by. Yeah.
there, but you can't hear them anymore.
I know. I always thought that that was so weird. I also think it's kind of cool how like like modern day like hybrids and stuff because they're like silent. Like when they go into like reverse, they play like this nice, like really ambient tone. Have you guys heard that? Like out of like the ambient cars?
That's correct.
Dude, it's sick. Yeah.
That tone is very, I don't know, it haunts me at times. It's too angelic.
Yes.
Dude, it sounds like an alien abduction or something, dude. Like it's crazy. Anyway, yeah, Maddie, do you want to sort of take us
I'll take us a
like
little bit into kind of the immediate present before maybe we go to the far past, which is I was going through some tour stuff, and I remember seeing this when it happened for Agora. You were out in Los Angeles just before COVID hit, if I'm getting that right.
Yes.
March of 2020. What was that? Because you were doing an American tour, I believe, and that got uprooted, if not just finished by.
Yeah, well, we had to stop in the middle of the tour. We had to go back, and I remember we took the last flight from Chicago back to Vienna, and then everything was closed. On the very next day, everything was shut down.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
I played my last show at the Empty Bottle Club in
Great venue.
Oh, wow.
I've been out there. Great.
And that was a great show. And next morning we had to leave. But then I came back, I think a year later, 2 years later, last year, 23, I've been there touring again, and I played again in Los Angeles.
I got to see you in 2022 at Big Ears. It was a very tough show to debate. Like, okay, do you go see Sparks? Do you go see Fennesz? I'm glad I made that call. I know that also was a show where volume wise, you were trying to get things right at the start, and the sound guy could not see your hand movement.
No. The sound wasn't right. Yeah. I remember.
I talked to someone later and he's like, I closed my eyes and it was a perfect sound bath. So the people that closed their eyes, we got it.
The problem sometimes is that people think because it's ambient music, it has to be quiet, but it's not like that. It has to be very, very loud. And sometimes it's very difficult to explain that to a venue to promote that the music has to be loud.
Yeah, because the venue they chose for that was St. John's Cathedral, and that's one of the best venues that Big Ears has for that kind of stuff, where you can really lock into a massive sound in there. Cameroon played last year in there, and it was one of the best shows I've seen. And it was because sound wise he had that under control. He really knew that volume, and they seem to get that. So I feel that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are you considering kind of any going out again on tour here for 25, doing a Europe tour or anything?
Yes, well, I will be playing a few dates in Europe now, starting in March until summer. Summer is a little break, but then in September I go to the States again.
All right.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, it's still in the planning. Everything is in the planning, but it's 80% confirmed already. So I'm going to come back.
Wow, awesome.
Has it been easy or harder kind of over 2 decades to secure that visa or to come over to the States to tour? Has anything changed for you in that experience? Because you're doing this stuff solo, mainly.
Well,
yes?
I get a visa quite easily. I mean, it's always a hassle. You have to go to the embassy, there's an interview. You have to pay for that. But they know me in the meantime, and they never make any problems. The problem is it has become extremely expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So a work visa for me is now $3,300.
Wow, that's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to plan a tour very well so that makes sense to pay that price.
Yeah, for sure. You can make your money back, and it's all worth it and whatnot. Yeah.
It's a bit of a risk, but it should be fine. But that's a big difference. We pay now double of what we had to pay 10 years ago, or even more than double the price.
That's insane. I had not realized that.
Yeah.
And do you, again, because I'm assuming when you're planning out a tour, you're not doing 50 states, you're doing, a region of the United States or something, but transportation wise, are you taking bus or are you doing Amtrak? Are you also having to kind of figure out there on the fly?
Well, mostly we fly and ground is like Uber. you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, when there's a concert, I really have to focus, and, you know, I need a bit of a comfortable time before the show, you know, so I'm not taking a bus.
Yeah, for sure.
When I'm there as a private person, it's no problem as a tourist, of course. But when I work, it has to be a little bit more luxury. Not luxury, but, you know.
You got to be locked in. Yeah, you got to be locked in. You got to be comfortable. You can't be taking a bus for that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have plans to come to like the California area at all?
Yes, they're working on that at the moment. So I think there should be a show in LA and probably one in San Francisco as well.
Sick. Awesome.
But everything will be in the next months, so you'll see.
Yeah. We'll be watching.
Yeah, everybody keep an eye out for Fennesz Tour 2025, dude.
Yeah, it would be great. I'm really looking forward to go back, really. I always have a great audience in the States, always.
Awesome. Yeah, excited.
It feels really good to play there.
Since we talked, the immediate past here, kind of, you know, something that we're going to in the future. We'll go way to the past. We usually like to do that on this, where we wanted to reflect a bit on your do-it-yourself, your DIY origins, but also your academic origins. Really kind of the stuff that would push you up from like punk to max MSP per se. I wanted to ask though, what pushed your passion to study music going back?
Well, I studied social anthropology and musicology, and I was specialized at the time when I was studying. This is like ages ago. I can't even remember, you know, what I learned there. I was, you know, it was more like West African music that I was interested in, more from a historical point of view. So, you know, I was just a student writing my papers, you know, doing all that. But, you know, at the same time, I was always making music and playing in bands and all that. So I could have become a very bad scientist. That was the decision, or maybe an okay musician, you know. So I decided the latter to do that. And it was difficult, but I'm still happy I did that.
I want to back up slightly there because you bring up West African music, and you're not just immediately talking like West African pop music, but like Smithsonian folkways.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, so
it's kind of like a ethnographic approach, and I was interested in. I know it doesn't show in my own music, but I was just interested in you know, the rhythm structures and the history of it, and diaspora also. For example, you can hear rhythms in Gabon, and you find the same in Brazil. You know, so all this quite interesting. I saw back then to me.
Mm-hmm. Now, that was something over the past year, because I do a lot of rentals from libraries. In fact, I have several of your albums here that got through California libraries and could just rent. But I started finding over the past year, I was gravitating towards drum compilations of sounds that you had in the 50s and 60s. And then I was seeing the reissues of Smithsonian CDs of African music and getting interested in stuff like that. So I always thought that was really cool. And especially because like a lot of the first African music I really would have consciously gone for or got as an adult was stuff like Nigeria 70 or like Indestructible Beat of Soweto, stuff that's really great pop music. But like the Soweto, that's Southern Africa, and Nigeria 70, that covers a lot of just like one fraction of that West African pop sound.
That's great. Absolutely great period in music, I think. Yeah.
And then additionally, this is something that's come up in some of the interviews you've done, because you have a big love for 80s pop, but I'm wondering, were you a Walkman kid? Did you have like a Sony Walkman?
Of course I had one. Yeah. I'm typical Walkman generation, I guess, you know.
Do you remember your first tape that you're jamming in your Walkman?
My first tape, oh, God, it must have been a Deep Purple cassette.
Sick. Yeah. Some Smoke on the Water. Do you ever find yourself listening to that anymore?
Yeah, early 70s stuff. Also Roxy Music, maybe.
Oh, sick. Roxy Music is sick, yeah.
No, it's funny. I just sent a friend in Chile a box, and it had the Brian Ferry 20 song comp. And I was so thrilled to give that to him because that has Do the Strand, that has some of the cuts from For Your Pleasure. And I was able to get my friend to be like, okay, I have to hear For Your Pleasure now. And just love that album. Love Avalon. Those are great. Something I know, because I'm right by my tape wall, and I'm pulling out from right over here. Here's a tape that you may be familiar with. Wondering,
yes,
is that
Marvelous? Yes, of course. Yeah, great album.
Great album. Yeah. Curious as well, though, because it feels like that kind of maximalism or stuff in that pop realm that you went for, it does show up through maybe some more of the later work that you did, but the early stuff that you did that came out of punk and then your early contact with Mego, it is, well to put it generous, very punky in terms of the fidelity and what it's playing with. And I'm curious, just how did you end up kind of drawing yourself into the punk scene there? And also, how did that intersect with some of the techno and samplers that you were playing with at the time?
Well, originally I came from rock bands. It was, like noise rock bands. There was always a punk influence, of course, back then, it was just a generation. And so you were always surrounded by that kind of music. But then later on, when techno came up and I was able to buy a sampler and produce things on my own, there was a kind of a punk attitude. It was the Mego crew somehow, I thought, because it was so new, it was so different. And there was a bit of a we don't give a shit attitude as well.
Yeah.
And that gave us a lot of freedom to explore really new terrain in music. It was an interesting time.
Oh, no, I was wondering because if I'm getting this right, the first sampler that you had, it was an N-Sonics ARX-10.
Well, the first one, when I was still playing with a rock band, I had in the 80s, I had an N-Sonic Mirage. That was the first sampler they built. I think it only had a sample time of, I think, 1.8 seconds. So you had to make loops, short loops. And, put one on top of another. But that was an amazing sounding instrument, really great. And then I had an Ensonic EPS 16 Plus. And only then I had the ASR 10, which was like the biggest machine they had from Ensonic. And this was, it still is an amazing machine. I'm still thinking about sometimes I should go down to the basement and get it again and use it, because it has had some features that I can't find anywhere else, not in any software.
So, what kind of features are you talking about that were so different and stuck out?
It was actually very early granular things, but it was not really granular synthesis. It was like fake granular synthesis,
Interesting.
Yes, and especially this produced really fascinating results, because actually the sampler crashed and then it played the weirdest things you can imagine,
Yeah.
It would go through the memory from the last 2 days and play very short snippets of all the sounds you had loaded before.
From the last, wow, that sounds crazy.
And then you could actually. Well, I was studying the error procedure, so I was actually learning how to feed the sampler wrong, so it made this mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're thinking outside the box, trying to find the limitations of it. Yeah,
fascinating procedure. It was like accident planning. You know what I mean? So,
exactly.
Dang. I've heard, yeah, a bit with some of the drum machines. Like I know like the Lin LM1, like that's really beloved by a certain generation, a certain group of people, because like Prince used that on almost all of his recordings because he just knew how to use it. But that machine also had its weird quirks that you're talking about, just like the Ensonics here.
I heard about that. Heard about that. The Lin was actually famous for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Again,
it goes to the machine. It's like these machines have a soul somehow,
Yeah.
the weird kind of swing or mechanics in them. No, I've been listening to a lot of like electric funkers, reading stuff like Dancing to the Drum Machine or Dilla Time, and the people who get those machines or really understand that technology and the quirks of the timing. I just have been so fascinated by that because it's like a different kind of rhythmic clock.
It is. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And again, I also find it curious because you're coming to these machines from rock background, from a techno background, and a lot of that early techno, a lot of electro industrial, that segs nicely into that mid 80s period of hip hop. But were you listening to hip hop, or was that ever coming over to you? Did you get like Public Enemy or Run DMC?
Yeah, I listened to that music, of course, yes, because it was new back then, and I was interested in like new production techniques, and these people were actually using new techniques, and that was fascinating. So yeah, sure, I listened. I still do listen to like modern, well, let's say R&B production, because I'm interested in the production,
Yeah, for sure.
Like Houdini.
Songs production is sometimes fascinating.
I think a lot about it's Houdini. Some of the same, like 5 Minutes of Funk is to me one of the best productions there, especially on the bass. Right. That is such great bass. And then like Thomas Dolby, he gave him the instrumental for Magic's Wand. So you also have that kind of strange pop connection to it.
Yeah. Well, I've always been interested in any kind of genre. I listen a lot to pop music and reggae music as well. Just because also, first, I like it a lot. And second, the production was always very mind-blowing. I thought really special. And even if I make whatever ambient noise, whatever music, there are all these influences. You don't hear them, but production-wise, they have been always there.
Yeah, for sure. It must be cool, like knowing like production techniques to actually be able to like catch that in music. Like when I listen to music, I guess I don't necessarily like listen for the production techniques, maybe just because I don't know what they are. But like, yeah, that's cool.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I guess that then sort of brings us though to this mid 90s moment, because other interviews you've done, you've talked about the fidelity of what you were getting in rock bands and doing on like 8-track or in crummy studios just was never there for you. That was not what you were looking for. But with Max MSP, with kind of technology moving in the 90s, curious about your first exposure to that and the Peephole plugin, if I'm getting that right.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Well, the pool or loop or whatever it's called, it has different names. This was done by friends of mine, and it's actually a free patch. Everybody can download it and use it. It's more or less like a modular system consisting of synthesizers, loop players, sample players, and effects. So you make your own environment just like you want and use it as you want. So it's very open. In a way, it's what I did with the Ensonic sampler now on a screen, on a computer.
So,
go on, Thomas.
I was just going to say, are you still using the Pool plugin?
I use Pool a lot, yeah, especially for live playing and also when I'm experimenting in the studio. But, it's just one instrument, and then there are the guitars, the pedals, and all that. But everything goes to the main computer, which is I have Logic running there, Apple Logic. that's my main software for recording and
nice.
Arranging. Yeah.
Sick. What were you gonna say, Maddie, before I interrupted you?
Oh goodness, I seem to have forgotten now, but I mean, I guess I just wanted to kind of keep hanging out here in the Max MSP world, because also we've talked to a couple different folks that were using it in the early 2000s as well. Byron Westbrook, and then Thomas, who else did we talk to that was doing it?
Yeah. And then we talked to our friend Tom Hall, if you're like familiar with like his work. Yeah.
And I think because it's like there is, at least for us, we're coming in our mid-20s to this music far on at the end of the 2010s into the 2020s. And there's writers like Mark Richardson who have kind of given slight inklings of like, this is not the history of Max MSP, but these are the people who used it and how it was starting to coalesce. And I'm just curious, in the 90s for you, what was it like kind of being an island to yourself where there wasn't a lot of people using this? You had support from Mego and Touch, and there was, conventions about this stuff, but what was the attitude like? And honestly, just where could you get more info and kind of information need?
It's a really good question. You had to know people. You had to know some nerds who are doing that, who are using it. And these people, the early Max youth, it was Max before it became MSP. Max was MIDI, MSP was MIDI audio. But you had to know people, otherwise you were lost, And I was lucky enough to know some people here in Vienna who were actually real nerds. That helped me getting into this. And I was programming in the beginning, and I had fun doing that. But I realized very soon, I could spend my time writing a really boring patch that makes like beep after I worked for a day,
Yeah.
Or I could actually use the patches from my friends who did nothing else but just that, and they didn't make music, they were just programming. But I thought I should spend more time making music instead of trying to program patches. So that's why I used Pool. It's from my friend Klaus Philipp. He wrote it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what other I guess patches were you using at the time? I guess like when you first like started meeting people and whatnot. I know that like Pool is your favorite, but did you have any like others that you were drawn to?
Yeah, there were a few. God, I can't remember. I have them all somewhere. There was also, we were also using Super Collider.
Oh, dude, wasn't that written by somebody named like Curtis Rhodes or something like that?
What was his name? Actually, he stopped doing it some years ago because he's now working for Apple.
Wow.
Oh, interesting. Wow, that's crazy.
He was a real genius, I thought, because the difference actually with Super Collider was that it sounded amazingly good. It sounded like an analog synthesizer, and nobody knows how he did that.
Yeah,
fascinating. And it was again the same thing. I had some friends who had some patches, and they gave them to me, and I started experimenting and making sounds with these patches. Recorded them, sampled them, and used them.
That's sick. Were you ever part of like any, I guess like when we talked to like Tom Hall about like Max MSP and like, I guess just Max at the time and like the early days, like he was part of like user groups and stuff when he was in Australia. Was there anything similar in like Europe when like, were you part of like user groups or anything?
Yeah, they were actually, they did a lot. These nerd friends of mine, for example, they're big in the community, the Max MSP community, and they did here in Vienna as well. And I was, every once in a while, I was looking at the user groups because I was part of that also, but again, my focus was in the end more on producing music than writing code. I love it. It's a fascinating thing to do, but it's very time consuming, so at one point you have to decide, I think, when you're not someone like Tecker, because they can do it, or ethics, they can do everything at the same time,
Yeah.
Not me. I don't have the skills. my thing is music first. But
I guess
music,
that makes sense. It's like if I don't know, you could spend all your time like learning how to like build a guitar or something, or you can just like learn how to actually like get good at playing the guitar, and like making the music and stuff. Yeah, I guess it's very similar, right?
true.
I guess, Thomas, if I may, I think I can keep us moving.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, go ahead.
Is something else maybe that plays off of not just like building the guitar or practicing and making it, but Christian, you did collaborate also with a lot of people, and one of the first real collaborations you had was right there at the end of the century with Peter Reberg and Jim O'Rourke, and you had Fennoberg. I remember I would have found The Return of Fennoberg probably in 2020 from the Pitchfork list.
Right.
It's like, oh, sick, more Fennesz. Like, oh, goody. But I am curious. It's like, you've been a great kind of networker, and at that moment in the late 90s, it seemed like that was a real necessity, was getting the three of you together to do a super group like that. And what was that like?
It was great. It was great. This was really, Fennoberg really was, I'd say, a computer punk band somehow,
Yeah.
The funny thing was all the three of us were invited to play at a jazz festival, like an improv jazz festival here in Austria. And Jim was there, Peter was there, and I was there. So we met there and we decided to play a gig there just for fun, in the basement of that club. And that was the beginning of Fennoberg. It worked so well, so we decided to make a record. And soon after, we started touring Europe and Japan, America as well. It was huge fun, really, really great. But it was, it was like a punk computer band, really.
I like that.
That's so sick.
And I loved it. I loved it.
This is not to be confused, though, with your actual, because you were a member for 3 albums of it, the band Food.
Yeah.
Yes, which is, you're the first person we've interviewed who has done any recordings for ECM. And one of the other people I find that's great, who's on Quiet Inlet and Mercurial Bomb, it's Nils Malver, who had, what did he play that festival in 1999? Because I know that's right when his big album came out for ECM.
He didn't play that festival where Fennoberg started. No, he wasn't there. But I met him. I met him on many other festivals actually, and also Thomas Strennan, the drummer from Food, and it was him who invited me to play with them a few shows. I thought, why not? I mean, this is something completely different again, and I'm always open to learn something from other people, also from people who do something very different than I do from what I'm doing. And yeah, so I decided, I agreed. I said, okay, let's do something. And then they invited me to the studio to record with them. And then suddenly I was on ECM. The funny thing is, nobody knows that, except you guys.
No, it's honestly really, like, again, you put in a library search and the Food albums show up because your name is tagged as a keyword. So I known about them and just was like, I got to get to these, and they're fun. They're really fun releases, and they're different from a lot of, because they're it's not like ECM new series with composer stuff, but they don't have a lot of electronic albums. The Nils album comes to mind as one of them, and they have some inventive guys like it's Vijay. Vijay's been doing a lot of breaks-based kind of jazz composition, but I'm like, you never had a background with ECM before, yes?
No, but it's strange. I met the ECM people in Munich. They came to a show and they introduced themselves and were very nice people. And I had the impression they are very interested in opening up and looking for more interesting, unusual input somehow. So I had the impression they would love to work with more electronic music.
Right, because I'm also thinking of stuff like Stefan Mikas. He's done like an album a year for them almost, but he has some of his late 80s stuff has some really weird, like, are we doing electronic where he's playing with musical stones, stuff like that. And I think that, or it's like the Meredith Monk stuff, which you had vocal games and that was playing, like, that's not electronic, but that's playing to something. David Torn's music as well.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Oh my, I was going on a rabbit hole of that stuff last night, but I'm curious again, because also you didn't really have a jazz background, but you were just curious to learn and just see like how your music could totally fit into this project.
I've always played from early on. I've always played with improvisers, actually, because I just love doing it. It's fun. It's actually something that keeps like just a player in me alive. So every once in a while, I'm very happy to perform with some improv players, and mostly these people they have a jazz background, so maybe that's my way into that. But I played with a lot of jazz players, as well as I played with a lot of pop musicians and rock musicians and everything. It's fun. I'm enjoying that. When it comes to my own albums, this is something very, very different. There's a consistency of of sound that I want to keep. But when it comes to doing things aside, I'm open to anything.
Before we talk about some more collaborations that have happened, I was curious if you have any kind of ECM recordings that you've turned to in the past, any musicians on the label you've admired, stuff that you could just kind of shout out.
Of course. I remember I loved that Chick Corea album, Return to Forever. That was amazing. Yeah.
Oh,
that was my favorite, I think.
My dad was a big Chick Corea. I mean, he still is. And I think I found it for $1 at a swap meet last year, finally.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Who is that? It's Chick Ray, you said?
Chick Corea.
Chick Corea, Return to Forever.
You gotta hear Return to Forever. It's so good.
I'm going to have to listen to it after this.
Oh, man, Thomas, you're in for a treat. Speaking of a treat, or at least I've got it in my hand, it's Sparklehorse and Fennesz.
Oh, yeah.
This was a great library rental, and I know it's the final of the In the Fish Tank series. I hope maybe one day they show up or do a box set or something of these. These are great recordings. You had 2 days with Mark Linkus, and it in the end of 2008. Mm-hmm. And both of you guys, it says in the liner notes, you kind of swapped roles. So like you actually get to play acoustic guitar proper on that, but Mark's doing a lot of electronics. Yes.
Yeah, funny. He did actually a lot of my parts, and I did a lot of his parts, and that was great. Yeah. I love playing acoustic guitar, and he's very good. He was very good in electronics as well, really. I mean, Mark and I had met a long time before that. We had like a residency together at a festival in Geneva. So we were staying there for 3 weeks. It was Mark Linkus, Scott Miner, the drummer, Sparklehorse, and myself. Mm-hmm. They gave us a studio just to work, to create one concert performance for the festival. That's what we did there. So actually, we were just sitting together all day trying to write songs together. That was absolutely wonderful. I loved it. And also later on, I was visiting him in his studio in it was North Carolina, Hayesville, North Carolina. Mm. And like some days before we played at Big Ears in Knoxville. So I spent a lot of time with him, and we became really good friends over the years. And so it was a big shock for me when he passed away. Mm-hmm. Really tough. It was lovely to work with him, really. I mean, he was like, for me, it was the only time when I had the chance to explore a bit of that Americana music,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
As a complete outsider. But that was fascinating for me, This was very, very special.
That to me is interesting you bring that up, because to me, like a lot of the most interesting kind of stuff that's happening right now in guitar music in America, it's Americana, like on an ambient scale, or it's very droney. And it's a lot of just really small. I mean, guys like Phil Giraldi or like Water Shoes Trio, and then Power Roland's duo. just like they're completely on the underground circuit here, and they're not touring Europe. So you probably maybe you don't know, maybe you do, but again with like Americana, have you wanted to explore that any further? Has that come into play for you?
Well, I would. I mean, I still find it absolutely fascinating, and it's great music, and there's a lot to do in that field yet. But I'm what I am. I'm a European musician, and I have kind of been building up my little musical universe myself. Where I can step into sometimes and find comfort in.
Yeah.
But I think I should stick to my
roots.
Yeah, and I leave that to the very great Americans who can do that much better than I can.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I'm always happy to join sometimes, and collaborate, because I'm still fascinated by this music.
Is there a kind of recording or an artist that you turn to, or you find yourself kind of just your mind going back to?
You mean from that kind of music in general?
Yeah.
There's so many. I wouldn't know where to start. I mean, I've always been listening to that kind of music, every once in a while. I mean, of course, Sparklehorse was one of my favorites then.
Yeah.
But also all these people Mark was collaborating with, I can't give you a name now because there are too many.
That's all good. The last kind of collaboration I guess we had on our list here to briefly go over talk was Ryuichi Sakamoto. And you met Ryuichi through David Sylvian, your pop star pal that you hit up in the early 2000s. And apparently he doesn't get a lot of calls for collaborations, but you braved it. You went out and you got him. And then he kind of brought you into that world of like, did you want to work with Ryuichi?
Yes. Well, I should say that I was a huge fan of David's work and Ryuichi's work when I was young. I started buying their records in the early 80s when they came out, as a very young man. I did that, and it was like, at that time, like 83, 84, this was my favorite music,
Yeah.
When Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence came out, that movie, and the soundtrack, and then, then I discovered David Sylvian and all that. That was just great music.
Mm-hmm. It's like a lot of Japan, a lot of David Sylvian never really made it over to the States.
I know. Yeah.
I was talking to a friend from England, and I was going through Discogs, and I was like, Tin Drum doesn't have a US release till 91. And that totally blew my mind. And I had a coworker at the library I worked with, this woman who was from Japan and would immigrate to the US, but she loved New Wave. She loved Japan Depeche Mode. And I was like, somebody else knows Japan? Because also, like with Brilliant Trees, when I finally heard this, you have Hassel, you have Mark Isham, you have Ryuichi.
Yeah.
He had all of those collaborators at like a really critical moment, and so it's such a great album to hear all of them blossoming and getting together.
I mean, the song "Brilliant Trees." When I was rehearsing with him for a concert in 2013, I think. And during a break, David went to the piano and he played a beautiful piano tune. And I said, "Is this something new?" And he said, "No, it's Brilliant Trees." Because I never heard it on the piano, And when you hear it on the piano, you suddenly realize how complex it is from the harmonies, the way it builds up is so complex and interesting. It's an incredible song.
Yeah.
It was always for me, it was Red Guitar is the one I go back to. I love the pacing of that, kind of everyone's little, specifically the Isham solo on trumpet is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm wondering though, working with both like David and Ryuichi, any advice or sort of kind of lessons that you had got from them over the years in those friendships?
Yes. Well, I played a lot with Ryuichi. We were actually touring a lot in Europe and in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
We played even one show in America once in New York, and
Oh, sick.
it was really weird. Actually, it wasn't in the World Financial Building.
Wow.
That is random, yeah.
A free concert, so people could come and just join. I don't know why we played there, actually. We just went there, and then I realized, okay, it's there. Okay, we played. But what I learned from him is definitely to leave a bit more space in the music,
Mm-hmm.
Don't be too busy. Don't play too fast. Don't fill it up all the time. Give it a bit of space. He was very good in that.
All right, should we move on to some Mosaic questions, Maddie?
I guess this is it. I hear you have this new album, Christian, and maybe we can talk just a little bit about it.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, I guess one of the things that I wanted to start with, kind of with talking about Mosaic, goes back to a few things that you have said in other interviews. There's like a gestation period to make music. You do have these breaks between releases. You're filling it with, just recording different stuff or going out on tour, or just living life. But oftentimes when you're actually recording the album, it is sort of a quick, or it is a really rigorous process, in that you mentioned way back at the start, last year about this time, you were getting in that routine for making the album. You had collected a lot of ideas for a Mosaic, but it was about a 3-month process doing 9 to 5 recording sessions. We got that right.
Yeah, but during these times between the albums, I'm always recording. I'm always experimenting, collecting a lot of music, a lot of work, and I'm doing collaboration albums with other people. I do film music. Contemporary dance a lot. I did so much for that in the last years, for example. Mm-hmm. And there even have been enough time to record a new album. And also I need to be sure that it's the right time to release. Of course, I could release every year, but I'm not sure if their work would be substantial then. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
It really has to pass my own quality control. Otherwise, I don't know. I mean, this is more important for me than being present all the time, actually.
Yeah, for sure. I get that as well. Like, I don't know. Like, at least like with shows, like I book a lot of like DIY shows and stuff. And like, we just did one that was really fun. It was like a breakfast show and whatnot. And everybody was asking me to do them every month. And I'm like, we can't do it every month because it would get boring and we'd burn it out. You know what I mean? It's like the same thing with music. If you just put it out all the time, it's like the quality would go down. It wouldn't be as good. It wouldn't be as fun,
Yeah.
I see. No, it's funny because I see some musicians that do that, or like on Bandcamp, you have scenes that's just dedicated around, we're going to make like a 3-hour out. We're going to do, and it's like, guys.
Yeah, it gets boring. Like,
and there's so much music out, isn't it? It's just incredible. It's difficult to follow up,
Mm-hmm.
And something, I guess, talking about your quality control, it's been more than a decade, probably about 13 a baker's dozen odd years since you've done any kind of EP or single. And in earlier interviews around Bex or something, you do laud the format. You do mention, hey, it's fun to do this because there's just less stakes on there. But also, those are kind of fun one-offs or side quests.
Yeah. Now that you're saying it, actually, I'm planning to do a little bit more like that in the future. I want to do like a few. I love the single format a lot. I love
awesome.
The A/B side thing is just beautiful. So my plan is actually to release a bit more like that in the next 1 or 2 years.
That's great.
That's sick. Awesome. I love to hear that.
Just to say hello, I'm still here, No, seriously, sometimes there is a track that doesn't work for an album, but it would work perfectly well for a single,
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So I'd like to do that again, really.
Do you ever think about like formatting? Like, would you put them on 7 inches again, or would you do like CD singles, or like how would you do it if you were to? go through with that.
In a perfect world, I would do any format. I would do digital, of course, and 7-inch vinyl, and maybe 12-inch with 2 remixes or something. That would be perfect.
Oh, dude, that'd be sick. Actually, that'd be awesome.
Something like that.
Cool. Do 40, a 39, 59 CD maxi single. Do an 8-track, get out. Put it up on a mono or something.
That'd be great. No, it would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit to your routine, because Mosaic feels both like, listening to it reminds me of Agora. Agora has a super revenant. Agora's a lot of fun, I will say, to fall asleep to and to play. I use a boombox, this little doofus right here.
Right.
And love that guy. That's where I listen to a lot of my music at night, and I've fallen asleep to Agora with it. And it's such a great sound, but I know you emphasized that was a headphone album for you.
Mm-hmm.
And again, for Mosaic, do you also feel like that is a headphone album?
Actually, funny thing is, when I didn't work much on headphones when I did it here. It's a new studio room. We've just moved in here like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And so there are new speakers, there's a new room, and it sounded so great. And actually, I have no problems with the neighbors. I can get quite loud here, which is fantastic. So there was no need to use headphones so much. Of course I did in the end, checked if everything works.
Yeah.
But for me, the album works nice in a room.
Fantastic.
Headphones always, but this album works in the room as well, I think.
Sick, Maddie. So you're in the clear for the boombox for this one.
We're back.
The last track is like it's very 3-dimensional. It's like a sculpture somehow, a sonic sculpture. It's the last track on Mosaic, Gone Your Horizon, and this works perfectly well in a nice sounding room. I thought. That's my opinion, and everybody should use this music like they want,
This is kind of a side note, but I've talked to a lot of musicians who say after they record a song, have it like mastered and stuff, they always got to listen to it in a car to make sure it sounds good in car speakers. Do you ever do that?
Very important, yes. Car, mobile phone, laptop, computer, everything.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah.
I forget, I think it was, and she still has, maybe it'll come out this year, it was Sky Ferraria in 2019 doing an interview for Masochism, her album that still hasn't come, but I think for Pitchfork, she said there's like 7 formats, and it's the car, it's the phone, it's the laptop, it's like a boombox.
I agree, absolutely, yeah.
That's sick.
It's fun.
It has to sound great everywhere. Of course, it sounds great on nice studio speakers,
Yeah.
Every music sounds great on a nice pair of studio speakers, but when it sounds great on the phone, then it's really good,
Yeah, for sure. If it sounds good on the phone, then you've
bass on the phone. That's very, very special. That's masterful. It's a mixing miracle still sometimes, but it's possible.
Yeah.
How do you get it to sound good on everything, like without sacrificing too much on like another format? I guess, like, how are you doing that? Like, because I'm sure you have to you listen to it in like a car or a phone, and you're like, oh, I got to tweak this.
I'm trying to make it compromise somehow, So first of all, it's the studio speakers, but then phone, laptop, car. I make something that works okay on these platforms as well, And then goes to my mastering engineer, Dennis Blackham. He's just amazing. He knows what to do, And he's always doing the right thing. And I trust him 100%. This guy has been mastering Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles.
Oh, that's crazy.
Talk. Oh.
Eurythmics. He's just fantastic. He lives in Thailand now. You just send him the stuff, and he lives on an island. And
does he? That's sick.
At the ocean side, just doing the mastering there.
That's amazing.
Good man, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis.
Shout out Dennis.
Yeah.
Let's see. So also again with this, because you mentioned this new studio space, has this this home studio been less chaotic than any kind of previous endeavor? Was there ever a time you were like turned off from working at a studio?
Well, it's really less chaotic. It's a lot more. I mean, the studios I had before were all very chaotic. There was too much stuff, too much old stuff that I didn't use anymore. Far too many cables. I mean, it was just a mess. But that's why here I was really. I put half of the gear back down to the basement and it's stored there. And I have here what I really need is the guitars and some nice machines. Just a computer and interfaces, pedals, a little synthesizer. It's mostly software actually. Now I still use a compressor and a summing amp, out of the box, but that's it. So this is very neat here. It's perfect to work, and also because of these chaos studios I used to have, all my ideas, all my the work I've done for years, is somewhere, on this hard disk, on another one, and on some, I don't know. I've too many computers as well, so it's always chaotic. That's why I wanted to have this routine this time, focus and work from 9 to 5 or longer, and do this every day for 3 months. And I really got things done then. I needed to have this routine, otherwise I would have never finished the album. I wanted to streamline things and clean up and focus. That was the thing. I seem to need that. Otherwise, it's just chaos,
Yeah. You needed the space to lock in,
Yeah.
It makes me, I mean, when I have heard the idea of this with the 9 to 5, because that's not something that a lot of musicians I think we've interviewed have, and historically, I struggle to think of like a major case where that happens outside of, I think about REM's Automatic for the People. I know that was a 9 to 5 album where those guys went into the studio and they laid it down just day in, day out. But the album or kind of thing, I guess, a lot of what Mosaic makes me think about recording wise is the latest stuff from Seafeel and what Mark Clifford was doing. And those recordings, he had gestating over 5 years, I think, but it came together in he took that time to sit down and work on those this year, I think. And
but you have to know, all the years before, it was total chaos. There was no 9 to 5, It was 6 in the morning, starting at 11 in the evening or something, and then again in the afternoon, it was total chaos. But just to go through the material and streamline the material, the last piece of work, that was the routine and the 9 to 5. But everything before was very different,
And at the same time that you were maybe kind of getting in the stage to work on this album, what was it? Venice was also being remastered.
Yes.
Yes. What was that playing any kind of influence in some of where the compositions were going, or just taking you back to that time and thinking like, whoa?
It was actually quite confusing and it was not easy. Because for the label, for Touch, this was such an important project, They were so much involved. Back then, when we did the first edition 20 years ago, there was so much into it, and now again, so it was huge for them again,
Yeah.
Same time, I had to finish a new album, so it was a little difficult, but I managed. And once I start producing or working on music, I can do 2 projects at the same time in parallel. It's not a problem really.
Yeah.
Because I'm already, I'm already working in music and I'm focusing. So it's okay to work on simultaneously to work on 2 or 3 projects at the same time. Yeah.
With the remaster of Venice, did you change anything, or like what did you do to like make that different, I guess?
Well, I was just checking the mixes a little bit. I didn't change much, no.
Yeah.
For instance, plugins have become better, you know. So the equalizers that I was using before sounded shit compared to those that I have now. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
These things I was changing, but that's not much, you know. And again, it went to Dennis Blackham, and he was doing the mastering. So
you know it's gonna sound better when Dennis masters it.
Dennis is the best for me, you know. I mean,
yeah, for sure. Was it weird like listening to those recordings again from Venice and stuff? Like, did you really listen to them after you put out the album, or were you kind of just like, it's out there, I'm done?
Yeah, when it's out in the early, you know, for like a few weeks, I listen, but then I stop. It was interesting to listen again, you know. It's a kind of, it's a bit
time
like
capsule, maybe.
Yeah, it's looking at old photographs a bit, you know, and
yeah, for sure.
Back, and life was very different back then, you know. I lived in Paris, and so all these things. But it's interesting, you know. I'm happy we did that. It's a nice project.
Yeah, it's amazing. My friend Ian got it, and yeah, it's beautiful. I was checking it out.
So if you guys are in Europe in October at the Venice Biennale, I will be playing the whole album there. They invited me to do that.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm booking my flight right now. I'm pulling up flights right now as we speak.
It's not confirmed. I shouldn't even talk about it, but it's going to happen.
Sick. You're putting it out there.
Something actually I did want to play off of, again, kind of when you have to revisit something 20 years on like that, because we've talked to a couple of musicians where that happens. Like when we talked to Mark Nelson, Pan American, about putting out the Dub EP, I think that was back in 23. And he talked about that feeling of like he could only get to really revisiting that stuff because it had been 21 years. His cells had changed over 3 times. Like for him, that was like looking at old photographs. And I remember bringing this up to David Grubbs when I was talking with him. And he was like, oh, it's a Ship of Theus kind of parable here. He was looking at it like that. And for him, David has just always been building. He's not a terribly nostalgic person, but his style, robust. He knows what he's doing. And for him, it's not a Ship of Theus kind of thing. But I'm wondering for you, Christian, have you ever thought of revisiting music like that?
I don't know, really. I mean, I have a tendency to get very sentimental when I listen back, you know. I get melancholic and, you know, memories are coming back. And I'm not sure if it's a nice thing to do, you know. Sometimes I better keep it where it is. You know, it's out, people can buy it and people can have fun with it. But it was slightly difficult to listen.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
A final thing about this home studio, just want to make sure here. Is there like a dutiful kind of posture or series of stretches? I don't know how your workstation looks, but I just always kind of, when I think about home studios or like doing bedroom, I almost wonder if like you can kind of get in the routine of like foregoing good posture or ergonomics. So I'm just wondering if you have kind of stuff that you do to maintain that.
Oh yeah, well I can show you. There's no problem. A small room, you know, here.
Oh wow!
Awesome, that's sick.
Thomas, that looks like your setup.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Here is a deck, a terrace.
Sick.
That's a chair I'm using. to listen. All right.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for the tour.
It's a very small but very cozy room, and I love it.
That's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you have to, like, I don't know, do any like Pilates or anything beforehand? Like, are you like, I got to stretch, I got to get my, I don't know, body ready to like sit down and record for a few hours?
Oh, these are the kettlebells,
Sick.
At the yoga mat.
Oh, there we go.
Awesome, dude. Christian getting ripped for 2025.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm old. I have to do something. It's important.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Yeah,
it makes you feel better. Really.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I mean, even for like us young ones, we gotta be active, I guess.
I gotta get on the rower. I gotta do a plank. I gotta back.
It just feels good. Feels good. There has to be a time for partying. There has to be a time for this. So
exactly.
Just find the right balance.
All right. Well, I guess that kind of does it for our questions about, like, I guess the more recent stuff that you've put out. Maddie, where should we go into next, I guess?
I mean, I'll close up by saying Mosaic's a lot of fun. It's another blast. I don't have the giant CD in a DVD case yet, but it is, again, it's fun to listen to the album and see certain little finesse touch points or go, okay, I know the sound, and I have friends that I've shown Endless Summer to, and they're jumping into Mosaic as like this is their second Fennesz album and being really, really elated by it.
Yeah, I know people are always expecting something like a new music revolution or something, but it's not easy, to do that. And I think I've been building up this sound and these techniques and everything. So my intention this time was to stay within this, and I didn't want to make a hysterical, hysterically new album or something loud. I wanted to do something calm. I didn't want to be another loud voice in this world where everybody is just shouting out their opinion and their standpoint and all that. So I wanted calm from the background. That was my intention.
I mean, I thought it was beautiful, the album. So yeah, thanks for putting that out. Thanks for giving it the signature Fennesz touch. I thought it was really great.
I've got we may have a couple final listener questions, a few kind of just like rapid fire or strange esoteric ones, if that's all good.
Yes.
Wanted to briefly touch on Black Sea. There were two things I wanted to ask. Firstly, was the title, I've never seen it brought up, was it, because also the art itself, it has that great touch art, but was it an XTC reference? Was the name of that a reference to ecstasy?
No, not really.
That's sick.
Good. Okay. Off of that though, because I've also seen the album get talked about and listed alongside, what was it, Tim Hecker's Harmony and Ultraviolet, a couple of Jeffrey Cantu, Ledesma, some Rafael Toro. I find people, they kind of they slot it into a unique little realm of guitar process music stuff. And I'm wondering what you've ever thought about. Has anybody ever presented the term drambient gaze to you? Sort of combination of dream pop, ambient noise gaze.
That's an interesting thing, actually.
I think it's a funny label, but it's like we're talking about a small group of albums that seem to come from people like yourself or like Jeffrey, or like Rafael Toro, who have backgrounds in the 90s and in maybe the 80s as well. They have you guys have like a really generational kind of situated knowledge that you work towards and have slowly disseminated and given out here. So thank you.
It's a nice word, actually. I have to remember this. It's actually what I'm doing,
Would you say there is like a dream logic to some of the stuff that you were especially going to on Mosaic or Agora, or that dreams play like a role?
If it's based on dreams that I had, you mean? Yeah. Well, yeah, much of the music is that. I mean, sometimes I can even remember melodies and chord changes, and I'm trying to play them when I get up. Most of the time I forget them, but a few have remained, and that was always very interesting. Endless Summer, for example, the title track is based on this chord sequence that I was dreaming.
Wow, that's sick.
Okay. I never that is incredible. That is beautiful. It's been fun to revisit. I know, again, we somehow fell in contact because you found a little fun video I did for Endless Summer.
Yeah, that was great.
How
funny was that? That is like, Maddie, I saw that on...
I love it. It's fantastic.
I had this thought back in 23. I was like, there's this really beautiful moment in it. And I just was thinking, because I loved those planters ads, I was like, what if you combine them? And I forgot I had iMovie on this computer and just did it one day.
It works so well. It's amazing.
Yeah, Maddie, that is...
We'll have to share that with some people later. A couple other people were wondering, because I know, and again, we talked a bit about it, we tiptoed over, we could probably just like have you ramble off 100 different 80s artists or things. And I know you said in another interview you did like Charlie XCX's Brat.
Yeah.
If there's any other, because I know you also don't really listen to contemporary electronic when you're making your stuff, but any stuff that you heard in 2024, like you hear any of the Afrobeat music that's been coming in?
You know what I really liked in 24? The Smile.
Whoa!
Oh, wow. That's sick, actually.
That was a brilliant album, really.
Awesome.
Amazing songwriting, great instrumentation, great players.
I didn't realize you were a big Radiohead guy like that. I mean, I've got my poster, but yeah.
Yeah. No, that was a fantastic album, I thought. Probably my favorite last year.
Wow.
That's cool.
Shout out to the, and that was the first one that they did, because they also had cutoffs. I'm forgetting the title of, it was Attraction Against Light or something.
Yeah. But there's this one song, what's it called? A Friend of a Friend. It's amazing how it's made, how it's built. The arrangement is just fantastic. The bass line and the drum beat and the piano. It's so simple, but it works so well. It's actually very complex. It's not simple. It's very complex.
Any other contemporary music that you heard or wanted to shout out that comes to mind?
There was this album, Endlessness.
The Nala Cinefro. Yes.
I thought that was great. Yeah, that was a great one.
I was able to get one of the libraries out here in San Diego to get both of her albums. That was hard. That was a hard battle, but we did it. And then I'm curious, the beer that you've been drinking, any of your favorite beers?
No, it's alcohol-free beer. There's no alcohol.
Ooh, nice.
The word null in German means zero. Yeah.
Dude, that's sick.
I'm not drinking beer here, I'm not drinking it now.
I would have pulled out. I would have, if had I known, I would have got the non-alcoholic Guinness. That's the one I go for as my non-alcoholic.
My parents drink that. Yeah, my parents like the non-alcoholic Guinness.
It's like Godiva. I don't know how they got it. It's good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you like? Do you have any other like non-alcoholic beers that you're a fan of, Christian?
Well, it's all Austrian beers, actually. There's another one which is called Egger. This is nice. But, I love real beer as well, but not now. I'm doing this, dry January cleaning like every year.
Dry January. Awesome.
Yeah, if you make it out to LA, we'll try to hit you up with some local beers. If I can, I'll try to come up with a little pack of the best stuff that we got out here.
Right. Excellent.
Heck yeah. Maddie will give you the beer tour of LA. Maddie knows like all the best beers and stuff.
It's
Sounds
everything that's not in LA.
Yeah. Maddie is a beer connoisseur.
good. Okay, great.
I guess that kind of does it unless you have any more listener questions, Maddie.
I think we covered them all, honestly, through the interview.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Where can people keep up with all things like Fennesz? Like where can people buy Mosaic and
Yeah, well, the website first, Fennesz at fennesz.com. Then Instagram. My wife is doing my Instagram, by the way, but she
oh sick.
very well. So all the news are there, like touring news and new projects, everything.
Awesome.
I also post this on Blue Sky and Instagram whenever there are some news, and Twitter still. But I think I might change.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are heading out from Twitter.
Blue Sky's
towards Blue Sky.
Blue Sky's nice for the music scene, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say too, Christian. David Lynch just passed away. Were you a fan of like any of his movies or anything?
Big fan. It's very sad. Very sad. It's too early. Yeah, he was just. What can I say? I mean, he was a genius.
Yeah, for sure.
It hit that news. It did not hit until later that night for me.
Yeah,
it was so sad. I think that was caused by the fires because I know he had to evacuate. I believe so.
Did he actually? That's insane. I didn't realize he had to. Damn.
Because he could not. He was very immobile there in those last few months.
Oh, right. With like his emphysema. I didn't realize that. Wow.
I immediately went out to the library and I got the straight story, and I'm meaning to watch that this upcoming week. And I got VHS ready to go. So,
Christian, did you have any like favorite movies of his or anything?
Well, I like all his movies were great. I think Eraserhead, when it came out, it was I was like was still going to school. I think that was amazing. Really, it was like shocking, so different. We've never seen anything like that before. You know.
For sure. Yeah. I saw that movie maybe like a year or two ago for the first time, and it was so sick. Like it blew my mind. Like genuinely, like I was just like, what is happening? Like this is so cool. And then just like the music and like that he composed for it. So sick. Yeah.
Elephant Man was also very strong, I thought.
Elephant
really.
Man, so beautiful.
And all the other films as well, you know. Great.
Mm-hmm. I want to watch Twin Peaks, I think. I think that's going to be the next thing I watch of his.
Twin Peaks was amazing. And the music, of course, just outstanding.
Dude, the music's so sick. Yeah, I know all the music. I've never watched the show, though.
Shout out from up here, Industrial Symphony, which is sort of the third. It's like a crux between, because it has on here Julie Cruz. So you have Floating into the Night material. You have some of the Twin Peaks soundtrack and the characters there. But then you have this as like a third final kind of spot. So good. So good.
That's sick.
I spent a whole night drinking cocktails with Julie Cruz once.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's sick.
It was absolutely brilliant. We had so much fun. He was great.
That is so cool.
He was singing with a German band, Pluramon, Markus Schmickler and his band. And she was working with them and they played live, and I've seen the concert because I played there too. It was a festival. And we ended up at the hotel bar. She was just lovely. Wonderful.
That is an awesome story. That's so sick.
What a beautiful night.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I guess, well.
It's a good last word, I think. Thinking of.
Yeah, for sure. We have one more question here. It's kind of a quick one. And we ask it to everybody. It's usually our outro question. Maddie, did you want me to take it?
I'll take it, Thomas.
Okay, yeah, you got it.
We don't have a crazy version this time, but really just we have to know. A rat's gonna jump in your mouth. You know, you pull out the yoga mat and there's just a poor old dude in there Rat's going to jump on your mouth here. Head or butt, and why?
Head or butt, and why?
You can have any info on the rat or kind of figure out.
I'd say head. Yeah.
Why are you going head?
I don't like a butt in my mouth.
Yeah, that's fair. Definitely fair. Sick. Well, that's all we have for today. Thanks for tuning into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. This has been Christian Fennesz. Thanks again, Christian. That was fun.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure. Thank you.